Hello everybody, this is Lisa Brown from Brown Eyed Girls Crafting. We're going to go ahead and take one of these bottles that I got from my son-in-law, and we're going to go ahead and use 3 different products. We're going to use a bonding boss, and we're going to put over this bottle here so that it will let us put our paint on it without it chipping off or coming off. We're going to go ahead and use this, and we're going to put 2 coats on it, but I think I only showed you one. We're going to make sure we dry this really good. Had to stick my finger in the bottle so that I could flip it around. And want to make sure I get it covered really good. Once we have that all done and we've got it dry, we're going to use this, I think it's called Dusty Blue, and it's the home decor paint. We're going to give this a good coat. And you see it's kind of wavy on the back of the bottle, and the bottle had indentions in it, which was really weird, but we're going to make it work. Once we get this paint on here, we put a fairly thick coat of paint on it. You want to make sure we dry that really good. And even if I had a few little white spots left, it was okay because we're going to crackle it. And we're going to make it look really cute. You can see I'm using a really fluffy brush that really put the paint on this bottle really well. I'd started out with a different brush and it was kind of so-so, but this one worked really good. Once we have all of this dried, make sure it's dry really good. And then I'm going to put some of this crackle that I picked up. I can't remember where I picked it up, but it's just a folk art crackle, and I absolutely love this crackle. We're going to go ahead and do one side of the bottle at a time. And honestly and truly, before you even can get it dry, it already starts to crack. But this does take a little while to make sure it's thoroughly dry, and you can see it. It does have kind of a glossy look to it, but when you've got it done, it doesn't look glossy, but it does have more of a wet look to it. Once we have that, I went ahead and wiped that off. We're going to go ahead and dry this side as well. And I got a phone call, and you missed part of this, and I do apologize for it, but this was one side, and you can see this crack. Now, you've got to watch this here. Once I started putting this on, it immediately started cracking before I could even get any heat to it. We went ahead and did the back here, and I did paint the back and part of the top. We got that done. And now we're coming down the other side here, and I'm just using some plaster chalk paint from Waverly. And we'll go ahead and dry this. And this stuff dries and crackles so good. I actually like this better, I think, than the Pentart. It's a whole lot cheaper. And it doesn't take long to get all this dry. You can see how that's cracking right there. It doesn't take much at all to crackle this. I'd love to see a good crackle on it. It does have some big cracks. And it is showing that blue underneath it really well. And you can see there on the side that it's really doing a very good crackle. And we're going to do the top here in just a minute. That's the only place I missed with the paint. We're going to go ahead and put some paint on it. Just real quick. Make sure we got it all covered up. And I went ahead and did the very top of it. And I had to smooth it out just a little bit more. And it doesn't take long for this to start to crack. I mean, it's almost instantaneously cracking, and it does dry really quick. You can see the crack down the bottom there. I think it turned out really cute. Now, there is a embossed part on the front of it. We're going to use that part. I did do some dry brushing on the bottom. I'm not going to crackle the bottom of it, but I did want to cover it up. I'm trying to decide which one of these birds that I got from Decoupage Central. There's 4 on here, and they're all really beautiful. And I thought about doing the top one, and then I kept looking at that bottom one, and I thought, you know, there's some blue on there. Let's just go ahead and do that one. We're going to go ahead and tear this up, and we're going to have to make sure we size it down just a little bit so that it'll fit on the front of our jar or our bottle. I keep wanting to call it a jar, but it is a bottle. And I have a ton of bottles that my son-in-law gave me. We're going to go ahead and trim off all that white of the rice paper there, it kind of feathers out. We're going to do this side here, and we're going to have to keep making it a little bit smaller because I want to make sure I see a little bit of the crackle around the front of it when I put it on the jar. And you see there, it's just a little big. We're going to go ahead and take it down just a little bit more, and I'm going to round my edges. I like rounding the edges if the bottle has kind of a rounded top. If it's more of a square top, I'll leave them a little bit more square. It just depends on what your preference is. I could tell at the bottom it needed a little bit torn off. It was just kind of wonky. It wasn't really straight. Once we get all of that off, we're going to measure it again. And I decided to take just a little bit off the top, and I ended up taking a bigger chunk of it. And I didn't mean to do that. Now we've got the top kind of out of alignment there. We're going to go over, and you can see there I took out a big piece of it. So now I'm going to come down and just make this a little bit shorter. And we can still see the bird really good. Let's go ahead and cut our little corners a little more round. And there it goes. Now we can see some of the crackle around it. I'm going to use some decoupage glue from Pentart. And I'm going to go ahead and just put it on the back of our piece of rice paper here. And make sure I go all the way out to the edges, even the little feathered pieces. That way we have all of the glue on it. And with a piece this small, I don't need to iron it. We can just smooth it out with our hands. That is just beautiful on that bottle. Once we have all that down, we're going to go ahead and dry it really good. I think this turned out really, really cute. I have a piece of wood U-bend, and I went ahead and trimmed it down just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and paint it with this aged copper paint that you can get at Hobby Lobby. It's like 69 cents. It's really good paint. It's really cheap paint, but it is acrylic paint. And we're going to go over the top and the front and all the edges of all the pieces here. Once we get that done, we're going to go ahead and dry it and kind of soften it up a little bit more. And then I'm going to lay it here and just see how it's going to fit. It is going to have to roll over to the side seams. I'm using some Heavy Bond gel, and we're going to use my finger and just rub it all over the back of that, making sure I go all the way out to the edges with plenty of this heavy body gel. This is a really good adhesive for different things like this, and it is strong, just like if you had wood glue. We're going to lay that on, and I'm going to have to heat it up just a little bit so I can round my corners there. And I do get the edges all the way over, but my finger with the glue kind of took the paint off, so we had to touch up our gold again. Or actually, it's kind of a copper, I'm sorry. But it is called aged copper. You can see I had to fix that side and that side over there. Then I decided to go ahead and just use what I have on my brush and just dry brush around the top of the jar, the bottle there. We're going to go ahead and just go around the top rim. Just a little bit of that aged copper. I went ahead and did the top of the bottle. And now I decide I want to go ahead and around the edges just a little bit and get just a little bit of color on it, just to age it just a little bit. And then I just decided to go ahead and put some on the back of it, just whatever's on my brush. And I just kind of dragged what I had off my brush on there. Then we went ahead and did the sides, and I'm just taking what I have on my brush, and I ended up having to get just a little bit more. And we're going to go down here in the front